It severely disappoints me to have to make this. I should not have to. I do not want to. But it has to be done, I guess. I I made a video a couple weeks back about what happened with my dad, and I guess he nor Christina will leave it alone. They have been harassing me and my mom on Facebook, and they have gotten several new phone numbers to just fuck with us. And I am going to just... I don't know what to do about it. No matter how many numbers we block or Facebook accounts, there's always someone or them that say something, and then we're back to square one again, where I feel like I just want to do something. I don't know what, but I just do. And now, in my last video, okay, I said that I wasn't going to tell you what happened in his house, but I will, because he has lost that respect from me. So, but before we get to that, I want to get to our latest encounter, which is over the top and fucking nuts. And so, my mom got like 2 texts from 2 different phone numbers claiming to be Ross. And my dad, his name's Ross. And one of them, whatever, it wasn't a big deal. I forget what it said. But the other one, the third one, was telling my mom that that his work would be canceling the insurance, and my mom replied, okay, I will tell him that you canceled his insurance. And then apparently Ross, in the text, just went fucking berserk and started calling my mom an evil bitch, and how she's been raising me poorly, and that she is the reason for all of his fucking problems. And it's so, and then I started to notice some patterns that in the text, the paragraphs and paragraphs that this person was sending, and at one point my mom said, you know, I don't want to talk about this something along the lines of, you know, Christina, back off. And then they replied with, this is not Christina, in all caps, although I am almost 100% sure that it is, because my dad does not text like that. He does not use paragraphs and exclamation points and like capitalize things and ditto, really? He doesn't fucking say that shit. She does. You're not fooling anyone trying to impersonate my dad. She's the one who's driving the wedge between us. Fuck her. It's just ridiculous, man. So, and like, yeah, sure, my dad has been like super like weirdly like passive aggressive to my mom like since the divorce, but I don't know. I just I don't see him saying that stuff. I do, but not in like the format that it was said. That is very much a Christine thing. So yeah, and I just thought to myself after reading all of that, like, what will it take for this stuff to stop? Because last weekend, I guess Christina has been talking about us, my mom and I, to like our old neighbors and stuff, because someone from down the street decided to comment on my mom's Facebook post about the divorce of all things. That was 5 goddamn years ago. And like, she's just bringing up all of this stuff that Ross did, apparently, like good stuff, and like, I don't understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to aggravate us in to the point of triggering a reaction, I guess. I don't understand. I'm just trying to figure it out, and now I want to get into actually what happened at my dad's house, because I just need to say it now, because I said I wouldn't, but you know, they said that they would leave it alone and they didn't, so oh well. So like, and I'm going to say some stuff that they're going to fucking hate, but I don't care anymore. So when I got there from Arizona, when I moved back to Washington, things were fine. And, you know, it was okay. I got my own room upstairs and stuff, and you know, my dad cleaned it up, but there was still like dirt on the floor and the sheets hadn't been washed because there was dirt in the sheets. So there was that, and who knows the last time those were washed, to be honest. And so I swept up, I washed the sheets, and I vacuumed and all that, and let's see here. Like a week or two goes by and nothing happens really. And well, no, more like a week. And they start to pester me about getting a job. And I told them before I got there that I would be holding off on the job for a couple of weeks because of everything that happened in Arizona. I just wanted a break. But I guess they don't get that. So they kept trying to get me to get like this part-time job at like Christina's work, and trying to pressure me into going into her log truck with her for a day at like 1 a.m. to like 4 or whenever she got home, 4 p.m. and which is a long fucking day. So I said no, and I had to keep saying no on both of those because I just wanted to do my own thing, which is impossible to do in that house. So yeah, it just infuriates me. So I keep telling them no about like this part-time job where I would like take like parts, like truck parts, like back and forth to places or something. And they're like, well, you should because we offered it, so you have to take it out of respect for who offered it. So, which is like, can I not say no? Even though I kept saying no. So anyway, after continuing to say no and stuff, they kept pestering me and bothering me, and eventually it got to the point to where I was texting with my cousin Zach a bit, and you know, I was asking him to like go for a hike or whatever just to get out of the house, because all my friends at that time, one of them was in the hospital and the rest have jobs and lives, so I didn't really get a chance to hang out with most of them. Yeah, so and then Zach's like, you know, like a few minutes after we're done talking, he texts me back, or did he even text me? I don't know, but he comes by the house the same day, and he's like, okay, well, you know, I work at this place called Skills, and I can hook you up with a job. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I apply for a couple positions, and then he goes to work, and then my dad comes home later, and he's like, so I talked with your cousin on the phone, and or what? No, okay, so my dad and I talked, and like on the phone like before we got home, and I said that yeah, you know, Zach stopped by and I applied for a couple positions, and like I couldn't like remember the name of the position that I like one of them that I applied for. um and so the call's finished, he comes home, he comes upstairs, and he's like, I'm kind of concerned, man. And I'm like, why? Well, because you didn't sound that interested in the job. And I'm like, why would you say that? And he said because I couldn't remember the name of the position that I applied for, and that like I just didn't sound like that I would go for it or something. So like that was pretty much my whole experience at the house, was just them assuming everything wrong with me, and that everything that I did was bad and worse than the previous thing that I did, even though it wasn't bad at all. So that's kind of how I'm trying to portray things, is that they just didn't give a fuck about what I had to say or even do. They just didn't use their eyes or ears. They just used their brain, which would be good in most scenarios, but not this one. So, and then prior to that, when I was unemployed, I would drive up to, you know, whatever store in Bonnie Lake and just walk around or whatever, or I'd go for a walk to the creek, and I just try to stay out of the house as much as possible. And because of this reason. So one day I was sitting at home at their house on the couch watching TV, and Christina comes home before Dad, and you know, if she comes in the house, goes outside, smokes a cigarette, whatever. And then like at some point later on that day or the next day, I don't remember, Christina brings up the fact that she was worried that I had fallen back into my old ways of sitting at home watching TV all the time and playing video games, because she came home when I was watching TV. That doesn't mean a thing, man. I haven't been that way in like a year now. Over a year. Ever since I moved here to Arizona, I have not been the same dude. I haven't. I don't know why they can't see that, but they just yeah, they just don't care, I guess. So anyway, so throughout this whole time, they're like making me do a bunch of chores, which is no big deal. I've done all their chores, like taking out the trash and unloaded the dishwasher and cleaned up the kitchen after dinner. That's whatever. But then they start to get on me about cleaning up after them, and then they start to use the excuse of working too much, and they can't like clean up the house, because when I got there, it was dirty, it was filthy, and just there was clutter everywhere. So I told them about that, and they're like, well, yeah, you know, you could help out. So I did a little bit. I did, and Christina did, and so did Dad. And you know, Christina cleaned up the bathroom and stuff, and Dad did something, I think, with the living room, I don't know. So, you know, there was like one day, the time that I was there, where they actually took time to clean stuff. So that happened, and then when they went to Vegas for their anniversary, I was working at the time, and not during the weekend, but like the Friday and Monday that they were gone. So those days they were gone, Saturday and Friday through Monday. I mean, sidetracked. So Anyway, they just had like some simple things like feed the dogs, water, food, take them out, walk them, which I would have been happy to do, but we'll get to that. And they had me water the plants. You know, they have like hanging flowers and stuff on the porch and a plant or two on the side of the house. So they had me do that, and they wanted me to clean up this mess that they left in the living room. And so they left, and that was that. So I worked Friday, and then they may have left Friday night, I don't know. Anyway, Saturday, I forget all that I was doing that weekend. I don't know, but I was out of the house like 80% of the weekend, but I still like watered the plants and stuff when they told me to. By the way, they told me not to do it like after 9 or 10, something like that, in the morning, because the sun will scorch the plants. So I didn't, and I watered them correctly, not at full blast, on the setting that they left it on. And they were watching me do it through their doorbell camera. And my dad sends me this long text saying that I am killing the plants by spraying it at full blast. And I'm just like, what are they talking about? I wasn't spraying anything on full blast. I was doing it just how they told me to. So I just had enough at this point, because they were just being so weird to me. So I just told them straight up, are you drunk? What are you talking about? Why are you watching me through the camera? Really? So at this point, I'm just thinking to myself, this isn't gonna work out. They are just watching me like I am like a small child, and I'm not. So they get back. I don't clean up their mess, because why would I? I'm not their maid. I did everything that doesn't like include me picking up after them. So they come back, and of course they're aggravated that I did not pick up after them, but I did everything else. And back to the dog part. So they ended up taking the dogs with them, or dropping them off somewhere, I'm not too sure. So they and then when they got back, they had the audacity to tell me that they took the dogs with them because they didn't think that I could responsibly take care of their dogs, because they think that I would just forget about them. That was the worst thing that they ever said to me. You see those animals back there? Yeah, those are Twos. You remember Two Dad? Yeah, you remember him? That dog that I had by my side my entire life until he died. The last thing that I touched on that terrible day was his tail. When he was getting carried out of the room because he couldn't walk by himself, I was there holding on to him, helping him. Because that is what I do, and I am a responsible person. Now, I don't know if he just forgot all of that, and that I was the one who fed Two and walked him most of his, the past 3 years or so of his life, because I was also taking care of my mom, being responsible, because she couldn't do it. So yeah, I took that as expected. And it that was the point to where I was like, all right, he's just some guy now. I don't know who that is, but that is not the dad that was married to my mom. That is not the dad that was there when I was being raised up. That I don't know who that is. That just isn't him. And another thing that he would do is get overly mad at things that I would do and say that, well, you should learn about it because it's the way life is, and you should learn about responsibility and this and that. And I'm like, I already know, I know the stuff that you're trying to teach me, and I've proved it over and over again, but they would literally say that I just didn't do it when I've been literally doing it right before their eyes. I don't know what their problems are. And then this whole time they were complaining about stress and stuff, but the night they kicked me out, they brought home a new dog. Really? Yeah, okay. That's... So, anyway, back to the night that they got home from Vegas. So, and then they get pissed at me because of that, and I get pissed at them for the dog comment. And so they're, you know, barking at me because I didn't clean up after them. And they say that I am more maintenance heavy than Paisley. So that was just the stupidest thing I've heard. There's a lot of stupid things I heard over there, to be honest. It's kind of hard to pinpoint a single one. So anyway, that happens, and then things are kind of on edge. And the timeline gets a bit fuzzy because so much happened there. But the day that I got kicked out, okay. So there was one thing that that I'm like trying to think of, like things that I genuinely did wrong there, and I did do things wrong, and I apologize for it to them, but they still just whatever. So the big thing was that I forgot to put like the rug on top of the shower curtain after I was done the shower, so like Shelby, their dog, would poop and pee on it. I don't know why I forgot about it. I remember like a few times, but I just forgot about it like every day. I genuinely don't know why. I just did. But anyway, so anyway, that was the one thing that I do remember doing wrong. So anyway, whatever amount of time goes by from Vegas to me getting kicked out, and the day of me getting kicked out, I come home from work, and I was gonna go meet a buddy of mine at a restaurant and go up to, you know, just hang out with him. So I pull the truck out of the driveway and I start to drive, and it starts making this like creaking, really irritating sound, like nails on a chalkboard. So I back it up to the house and I tell my dad, and he looks under it, and you know, some like small rubber piece is missing or something. And so I'm like, all right, whatever, big deal. Let's call him. And he comes to pick, and my friend comes to pick me up. And so he comes to pick me up, and we leave, and we go, and we go eat, we race around on his go-kart for a while, and he drops me back off at around 8 or 9 p.m. Nah, more like 9:30 p.m. And Dad and Christina are standing there in the kitchen like they're gonna chew me out like they normally do. And at this point, I had a plan to leave the house in Washington without telling my dad a word about it, just flying out unannounced, because at that point I didn't think that he deserved it, and looking back, he did not. So he was asking me like what my plan is for the truck and stuff, and like if I was gonna pay for it, and of course I was hesitant about it because I didn't do it on purpose. So I'm like, you know, why would I? It was an accident. It's a small rubber piece apparently. So, and then they were, you know, just pestering me and questioning me about everything about my life. And then at that point I was like, okay, I'm forced to tell them that I'm going to leave. So I just told them that, yeah, you know, I'm flying back to Arizona because of you guys. And then Dad was just kind of silent the whole time. Meanwhile, Christina was like a machine gun talking to me, and she would not let me get a word in. And this was also the case the entire time that I was there. She would just keep going into me, like at like 3 or 4 separate occasions. She would just dig right into me, and she would get mad at me because I wouldn't talk, because she wouldn't let me talk, because she would just keep going and going and going. And especially that night, she would not let me get a word in. So I just went upstairs and she got mad at me. So I just let her know. I let her know how it is, and I did not care how she felt about it, and I still don't. I told her how everyone in the family feels about her, and how she makes people uncomfortable and this, and she's always inserting herself into where she's not wanted. So, and she didn't really say anything to that. And at this point, I go upstairs, I close the door, and I call my mom. And I tell her about what just transpired, and how they're just being assholes at this point for the sake of being an asshole. There's no lesson to be teach to me from them for it. It's just, I don't know. There was no reason for how they were behaving. So I call my mom, and then my dad comes up and he's knocking on the door. And I tell him that I'm on the phone. He's like, come on, I don't care. So I open the door and I start talking to him. My mom was still on the phone at this point. And also at this point, I was telling my grandma everything. And not like everything, but like some of the stuff from a certain point when it got kind of bad. And he's like, well, why haven't you talked to Grandpa about it? And I'm like, I don't know. The fuck should I know? He's not a part of this. And so, like, I tried to include as little family members into this drama as possible. I only asked Grandma because she normally has, you know, insightful stuff to say. So, and then eventually Dad is like, well, you have a place to stay tonight? And I knew what was coming. He was kicking me out. And I say, yeah, of course I do. So he's like, all right, pack your shit, get out. So he goes down the stairs, and I tell my mom, call grandma, I gotta pack my stuff and get out. He's kicking me out. At this point, it's like 10 p.m. and wow, it's almost 30 minutes long. So it's 10 p.m. at this point, and it's kicking me out to the streets of the wolves. So my mom calls me back after a few minutes, and grandma's gonna come, meet me at the creek and pick me up, and then I'll be staying there until I fly out on that Saturday. So, a few days prior to this, I had bought myself a notebook and a bunch of pencils, and I wrote down in that notebook how my dad made me feel throughout this entire time of being there. It was for his eyes only, and not Christina's. So I filled it out with a bunch of stuff saying how you've done all this, and mind you, prior to that, I thought that I would be leaving without him knowing, so some of that is based off of me leaving without him knowing. So yeah, I gave him the notebook when I left. I say goodbye to Paisley, and then I left. I walked to the creek, waited for a bit. Grandma came, picked me up, and I stayed there for the remainder of my days in Washington. And yeah, my dad one night came over to my grandma's unannounced and started to, like, he just he just wanted to talk, and like a couple other family members were like trying to get me to talk to him before I left, and or like even trying to get me to stay, which at that point I have already made up my mind, but I thought whatever, what's the worst that can happen? So we are talking in my grandma's living room at like probably 9 or 10 p.m. again, and he's I don't know, he's just repeating the same things that he always does. He just doesn't understand me. And then the last thing that he says to me is, do you have insurance? If not, you better get some. So yeah, now as of the 1st of next month, I will be cut from his health insurance. And here comes the hypocrite in him and Christina. They were attacking my mom over Facebook and text about anything and everything, the divorce, how she's raising me. And part of that was like how much food that I eat or something like that, and like what she feeds me. And like saying that like, I'm a diabetic, for Christ's sake, you should be, you know, treating him better, and you're a terrible mother because of it. But then they take away my health insurance, and they lied about it too. They lied about it literally days ago. They told my mom that they had to cancel it because I couldn't use it in this state. But I've been using it, and it's benefited me greatly. It saved me a lot of money, man. It works here. You're lying. I know you're lying. You're not fooling anyone. I've said that already. I might just say it again. And then when I talked to him about him kicking me out, he said that it's because I told him that I was leaving, and, you know, I might as well just kick you out because you're leaving. But like, really? That's the most sorry excuse I've ever heard. That's like such twisted logic. That doesn't make any sense. Especially for your own son. And like if I told him I was suicidal, would he have blown my brains out? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. So he told me that, and at this point I go back to Arizona. Between now and the last video that I made, I try to get in contact with him because I was just so angry with them, and I couldn't think of anything else besides just yelling and screaming and just wanting to hurt him. So I got a hold of him, and I tried to talk to him, and yes, it was out of anger and rage. But before I could get to that point, he said, well, I'm having a party, bye, and hangs up. And then I'm like, did my dad just do that to me? He's almost 50 fucking years old, and he chooses a party over what? That is, I was just shocked, to be honest. I was overly shocked. And I still can't believe that. I still can't believe it. So, and then a few hours go by, and I had used my mom's phone to call him because I deleted his number and blocked him on everything. So, and then he tries to call back through my mom's phone, and it's fucking hot in here. Let me turn the AC on 1 second. So yeah, he tries to call back, and I pick up the phone and I say, I didn't say this part, but despite me wanting to like yell at him and just get overly angry, I didn't. I just thought that would be the premature thing to do, and it just wouldn't go well for me in the long run. So I simply said, "You have hurt me for the last time," and I hung up. And I gave the phone back to my mom, and he tries to call me back through her phone, and he's like just getting super impatient and rude with my mom. And I just say that, I just tell my mom I don't want to talk to him anymore. I don't. And he is getting just angry over it, and the call ends with them. And seemingly that was that. And then a couple weeks go by, and well, that's not true. Christina decided to run her mouth like she normally does my mom. And then the Facebook posts happen. Most of you know about that. And we end up getting rid of Facebook. And then my dad, or like I said at the beginning of the video, seemingly my dad starts texting me my mom, telling me that the insurance is up and this and that, saying these really just disgusting and awful things about her. And that's what triggered me to make this video. So congratulations. I hope everyone sees both of you for who you really are, because I sure have. It is ridiculous how things have turned out. My mom and I have tried to avoid this. We have deleted our Facebook. My mom is back on it now. She's, you know, whatever. But when you start pestering and harassing us and getting your friends around town to comment on her posts and say demeaning things, and you just don't deserve any bit of good that I can give you. Anyway, I've been trying not to think about it, but every time it escapes me, they find a way. They find a way. So at this point, if it continues, I'm thinking about taking legal action toward them, because at this point, they're just finding excuses to keep it going. I've said time and time again that I want it to stop. I even told my dad to stop, and he said, "Or what?" Really? Or what? So I don't know. I'm gonna be honest here. My filter is fucking gone. I wouldn't be surprised if Christina is back on her fucking drugs, or if she's getting Ross to do something with her like that, because in no way would my father ever do that. The dad that I know would never do anything like that, or allow a woman like that to treat me, or my mother even, as she has. In no way would he have ever let that happen. So, yeah, this video is going everywhere. It's almost 40 minutes long. I am going to now forget about this and enjoy my day. So, thank you all for watching. Ross and Christina, I hope you see this.